Spider-Man is one of the most anticipated games of 2018 and without a doubt one of the PlayStation 4's most anticipated exclusives so far. The game is looking to be a system seller for the PS4 and a truly console-defining experience from what we've seen thus far. If you're not up to date with everything we know about Spider-Man so far, this video should get you up to date. We're going to be taking a look at 10 big reasons why you should be excited for Spider-Man for the PlayStation 4. Let's get right into this. So with these videos, I always like to take a look at the developers, and with Spider-Man, that is absolutely paramount. Licensed games, superhero games aren't always the best, but that trend changed with Rocksteady's Batman Arkham, and Rocksteady are obviously very talented. So who are at the helm of this new Spider-Man game? Well, it's one of the most iconic studios in gaming for the last 20 years, and that is Insomniac Games. They aren't one of Sony's first-party studios, but they have been a consistent second-party studio, and they've worked on fantastic games such as Ratchet & Clank for the PlayStation 2, and they did the Ratchet & Clank Future series on the PS3, and of course they also did the Resistance franchise on the PlayStation 3 as well. Outside of that, they have worked on other great games such as Sunset Overdrive and the classic Spyro the Dragon games on the original PlayStation. So if you were worried about the studio that's developing the Spider-Man game, don't be worried about that at all. Insomniac are very talented and you can expect them to bring out a great product. Number 2, so let's talk about the story to Spider-Man. Well, it centers around Peter Parker, who is 23 years old and interning at a laboratory while about to graduate from college. Peter has been Spider-Man for 8 years and has settled into his role as protector of New York City. Early in the story, Spider-Man defeats Wilson Fisk. Afterwards, a new gang emerges known as the Inner Demons, who are now taking over Fisk's territory.
Yuri, I'm here.
What do you see?
Find the rest. Boss wants them dead.
Looks like the demons are moving in on Fisk's territory.
You got this?
I got this.
Next, if you're expecting this Spider-Man game to be an adaptation of the movies, that's not the case at all. This game will tell a new story about Spider-Man that is not tied to a film, comic book, or past video game. It'll cover both the Peter Parker and Spider-Man aspects of the character and will feature an older and more experienced Spider-Man. That's pretty interesting. A game centered around just Spider-Man may get a little bit stale, so sprinkling in elements of Peter Parker will add another layer to the gameplay of Spider-Man and the storytelling. Next, obviously, Peter Parker outside of his Spider-Man suit will be playable in parts of the game, and Mary Jane Watson will be playable in key moments of the game. Outside of that, you'll obviously be exploring the city as your traditional Spider-Man.
I'm getting reports of a helicopter with a wrecking ball.
It's complicated. Turns out Martin Lee is running the demons.
The guy who runs the homeless shelter?
Like I said, complicated. Sit tight, Yuri. I got this. Please, let me got this.
That helicopter is just...
Next, while many were wondering if the swinging in the E3 demo was scripted, Insomniac Games has confirmed that web swinging is physics-based. Quote, "There is always a web anchor point," Insomniac confirmed at E3. "It's completely momentum and physics-based. We focused a lot on traversal, wall running, leaping off things, swinging. Think of something like Spider-Man 2 on the PlayStation 2. This also came from a tweet saying, "And in case you're wondering, swinging is all physics-based and the web's attached to buildings." I'm sure that'll get ardent Spider-Man fans excited, and for those that are really looking forward to swinging around the world and having a blast exploring the city, because that is one of the primary reasons gamers are excited for an open world Spider-Man title.
Like I said, complicated. Sit tight, Yuri. I got this. Please, let me got this.
That helicopter is destroying the city.
I know.
You need to bring it down.
I know.
Maybe you could superhero a little faster?
Working on it, Yuri. Too close.
Next up, at the end of the Spider-Man E3 2017 gameplay trailer, you might have noticed that there's a glimpse of Miles Morales, one of the men who took up the mantle of Spider-Man in the Ultimate Spider-Man comics. According to creative director Brian Itar, Miles' role in Spider-Man grew over the development process. Originally, Miles' role was minimal until Itar went and read up on the character's history. From there, the relationship between him and Peter was too good of an opportunity to pass up for Brian. He told Games TM, quote, "I just fell in love with the character. Just like MJ can provide a different perspective on the world, I thought Miles and his relationship to Peter brings something different." So that'll be interesting. Obviously, Peter Parker is the standout character of the Spider-Man franchise, but you're gonna need other supporting characters in there, and hopefully Miles acts as a relatively engaging one. Next up, the Spider-Man suit that Peter Parker is wearing is a completely original design. Many have questioned what the enormous white spider logo stretching across his torso represents, since it's so different from the norm. Insomniac Games has confirmed that there is in fact a meaning behind this decision, and it's not just a design decision without any representation. We'll be excited to find out what that is when we actually get to play the game. For now, maybe some things are best left still as a mystery. Next up, so who's the main antagonist in Spider-Man? Well, the main villain of the game seems to be Mr. Negative. That's seen in the E3 demo. Other villains are in the trailer, such as Shocker, Norman Osborn, and as mentioned, Wilson Fisk.
Mr. Lee?
Next up, to give you an idea of Spider-Man's world size and scope, it is 4 to 6 times the size of Sunset Overdrive and will be open to explore from the get-go. That seems to be an absolutely massive game because Sunset Overdrive in its own hand is an open world title and the world is relatively big. It's not absolutely huge, but 4 to 6 times greater than that is an absolutely enormous world. That seems to mean that Spider-Man on the PlayStation 4 is gonna have a ton of content behind it, but that's just speculation. But why would you have an open world of that size that's just barren and without any content? It makes sense that Insomniac will want to make this world as lively as possible.
Fisk's men have fled through the building. Eliminate them.
Should have worn a helmet.
And finally, of course, the question that everyone wants answered is, when are you going to be able to play Spider-Man? Well, Sean Layden, the president of Sony Interactive Entertainment America and chairman of Sony Interactive Entertainment Worldwide Studios, has confirmed that Spider-Man will be released in the first half of 2018 for PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 4 Pro. Now, whenever release windows are announced, especially for PlayStation 4 exclusives, you have to be a little tentative with your excitement. Sony has had a tendency this generation to delay a lot of games. Nearly every PlayStation 4 exclusive this generation has been delayed. You look at titles like Horizon Zero Dawn, Uncharted 4, Drive Club, and the list goes on and on and on. A lot of games have been delayed this generation, but that's probably for the best. If they want to get these games at the optimal state possible, they want to take their time with it, and considering that this is the first Spider-Man game, considering this is such a huge project by Insomniac, considering that this is so many gamers' most anticipated game of 2018, you know there's a lot of pressure on Insomniac and they want to deliver to the best of their abilities. Hopefully we do see the game in the first half of 2018, but considering that God of War is also slated for a release in the first half of 2018, maybe this is a game that would be better saved for the fall. Who knows? But for now, it is scheduled for the first half of this year.
Hey, big guy.
So that wraps up 10 massive things that you need to know about Spider-Man on the PlayStation 4. What do you think? This is without a doubt one of the most anticipated games of 2018, if not the most anticipated when you look at what games gamers are really looking forward to. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching and goodbye.